So recently I just had somebody ask about if it fits your macros, is that the right way to eat? So first of all, what I'm going to say is the same thing I say on everything. If it works for you, fine, go ahead. I'm not here to perpetuate any sort of idealism about how you should eat or train. I'm here really more than anything to say, conduct your own experiment, expand your own awareness, find out what your body responds to. Right off the bat, that's my disclaimer on this whole thing. Here's the thing I don't like about if it fits your macros. A lot of the people that are saying that this is the best way to train and this is the biggest thing, you know, a lot of times they're people with fast metabolisms in some cases, and they're eating sugar, they're eating fats, they're eating everything in sight and saying it's all the same. You know, a carbohydrate's still a carbohydrate, a protein's still a protein, it all reacts the same, but it doesn't. Different carbohydrates have a different glycemic index, which means you'll have a different insulin response from different types of carbohydrates. Your blood sugar will go up or down, more so with one type of carbohydrate as opposed to another. The big thing is that somebody will say, hey, I got results. That means what I'm saying to you is the right thing. But the thing is that in order to get results, all you need to do is get in enough food and train hard, and your body will adapt to a certain point. That's all that's needed. You need to sleep, eat enough food so that your body can recover, and train. But then people start to overcomplicate things by saying, oh, it was all the intricacies of what I did with my macros and all this kind of stuff. And that's what led to this physique you see before you right now. But the fact is that it doesn't mean that that one part of their philosophy was correct. Although it wasn't the weak link in their chain. You know what I'm saying? They still adapted to their training, but it doesn't mean that their diet couldn't have been better, or it doesn't mean that there can't be some improvement. I've had fights and debates with people on the internet about this because there'll always be one guy that eats like 400 or 500 or 1,000 grams of carbohydrates in a day and says, hey, look, I can get lean this way. And I'm saying, well, I couldn't get lean that way. And then they say, hey, you're an idiot because you can't get lean the same way I did it. But the factor is that everybody's body is a little bit different. That's a fact. Everybody's body responds a little bit different to certain types of macronutrient profiles and that sort of thing. And it will also be the same with you. You might be the type of person that responds really horribly to sugar as opposed to potato, okay? What if you're that person? Then if it fits your macros, won't really apply to you. So that's really my point. My point is, if it fits your macros says you can just put in garbage food and it's the same thing as putting in natural food. And we know that that's also not true because garbage food doesn't have the same type of phytonutrients, it doesn't have the same type of vitamins, doesn't have the same sort of thing. So short term, you might not notice a difference, but long term, do you notice a difference? And a lot of people that are perpetuating this type of thinking have only been training a few years, maybe 10 years tops, but have they done this for 30 years or 40 years? Have they trained like this? And I guarantee you they haven't. Most people on the internet right now are the younger crowd that have been training, and they know what they know, and they have made some results, but it doesn't mean they've conducted a 3-decade study on this type of eating and what happens to the body after eating like that, okay? So what I'm gonna say to you is that short term, almost anything will work depending on what's going on in your body, okay? Especially when you're young and your hormones are going crazy and all this kind of stuff, a lot of times short-term things will work. But is that a good long-term program for you? You know what I mean? For your overall health and all that kind of stuff? So this is the thing. Sometimes the short-term eating fads and the short-term stuff isn't necessarily the best stuff for you long-term. The other thing that's going around a long time is that zero carbs and all this kind of stuff, carbs are bad. Well, the thing is, people get dramatic results on this type of eating because what they would do is drop their carbs and they drop a bunch of water because carbohydrate, right? Carbs get stored with water, so a person would drop water and then they'd have the appearance that they're leaner, but they weren't necessarily leaner. Okay, now there might have been some other good health effects from it. Perhaps they started to stabilize their blood sugar, maybe they had sensitivity to carbs, all this sort of thing. But what I'm trying to say to you is that your awareness is the most important thing in finding out what works for you, and starting with a certain program or a certain template is important, okay? But there are general principles that apply, and it doesn't matter what way you structure it. If you apply these general principles, you will get more results. And one of those principles is having a stable blood sugar most of the time will lead to more effective results because your body will absorb the nutrients that it needs when it is time to absorb them, okay? And whether you do the high glycemic thing after a workout and all that kind of stuff because your muscles are already absorbing nutrients, well, that's fine. But what I'm trying to say to you is that people are getting too fixated on a carbohydrate is a carbohydrate or a protein is a protein. Well, protein from lentils is going to be different than protein from steak or protein from chicken, protein from fish. There are different amino acid profiles in that as well. This is the thing. If it fits your macros, it's almost like a grandiose racism when it comes to nutrition. It says all of this is the same, all of that's the same, all white people are the same, all you know? And we know that's not true. The fact is that each individual food will have its own benefits and downsides. Ultimately, you have to find out what the right foods are for you and then add those into a diet. Okay, so I'm not getting the specifics of what you should be eating because I talk about that in other videos, but again, it really first and foremost boils down to how your body reacts to the food, because I know some people, they just do better with different types of food than other people, and it doesn't mean that their diet is wrong, it just means that it's different. So I hope that helps you out a little bit, and if you need to get a hold of me, check me out at naturalgallantbodybuilding.com, and I'll talk to you soon.